and a lot of that is affected by the new home pricing. So new home construction costs a lot more, and that's becoming unattainable for a lot of people. So now they're waiting to get into used homes just because of just the price point, right? Even if you look at new townhouses in Brighton or Aspen Ridge, what they're being priced out at, they're quite a bit higher than what they are on like Lind and Stonebridge and so forth, right? I was wrong.
Okay, what were you wrong about?
I was wrong when I believe that we're going to keep on seeing an increase in presentation of offers all the way through to the fall. The way that we were seeing it, it was seeing probably almost a 10% increase every single month of how many new listings were coming onto the market as of presentation of offers.
Right.
And what we've actually seen in August, and this could have to a little bit of effect with being July and August and things slow down. But we saw in August, it was 25% of listings were doing presentation of offers, down from 55% in June.
Right. Well, we touched base a little bit on a prior podcast, just kind of saying that, unless properties were priced way under market value, is that they weren't getting the amount of offers. And I do think that it's not like our market slowed down,
right?
But at the same time, it's just how we're presenting new homes coming to the market has changed. And that's mostly because the property values have went up so much. So people are getting a lot closer to, market value when they're listing their property, maybe adding $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 and seeing if they can get an offer quickly rather than waiting for that multiple offer.
For sure. It's I believe you're 100% right on that. It's they've increased to a price to where they're a top right now. Mm-hmm. And it's just and if it's a property that's fully renovated with everything done to it, you've had this conversation many times. If that property is perfect and ready to move into and you don't need to do anything, people will keep on paying a top dollar for that over what I think the last ones have sold for. But those properties now that have increased to a certain point and need full renovations, they're not going up.
Right.
We might even see them, we might have even seen them decrease a bit in price just because of where things have cooled off with the presentation of offers.
Yeah, and I also think that people are becoming more educated, is that a lot of people haven't been looking at maybe what the construction costs have been, right? And I think that's why most things that are move-in ready are getting top dollar value, because those people are understanding, how much those renovation costs have increased over the last couple of years.
For sure.
Yeah.
So what do you see the numbers for, I guess, the beginning of August or July?
So right now is that we are, the 19th of August, is that we're coming in with a total of 869 properties across all of Saskatoon. 220 of those are conditionally sold. So realistic 649 active listings in Saskatoon right now. That leaves 377 single family homes, and then 66 townhouses, 163 condos out there. So realistically is that I would say that we need at least 3 times the amount of inventory than what we have until things would start to balance out a little bit. And realistically, in the next, I just don't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah, we've had Chris Garrett, the CEO of the Saskatchewan Real Estate Association, on our podcast, and we were just discussing where we're going to see that inventory, and it's going to take some time to be able to build that up. I know that the government and the city is working towards trying to figure that out, but that's not going to happen tomorrow, and a lot of that is affected by the new home pricing. So new home construction costs a lot more, and that's becoming unattainable for a lot of people. So now they're waiting to get into used homes just because of just the price point, right? Mm-hmm. Even if you look at new townhouses in Brighton or Aspen Ridge, what they're being priced out at, they're quite a bit higher than what they are on like Lind and Stonebridge and so forth, right?
Yeah.
And so it makes a big difference being in an older neighborhood rather than a new neighborhood.
For sure. Even though is that we've seen those, maybe not the presentation of happening, is that our market certainly hasn't slowed down. We actually had record sales in July as well, right? So
record sales for July itself, is that, or for the year for July?
For July.
For July.
Yeah, and year and month over month is that we're seeing benchmark price just increasing.
And what is that benchmark price now?
Benchmark price in Saskatoon is coming in at $435,000. at the end of July.
It's a high price compared to what we used to be at.
Oh, I'm
Like we used to be around that 355 to 365 for almost a decade, and it didn't really go much above that.
I think that we've been only in last years we were just breaking the $400,000 benchmark, right? And that was probably, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was just at the end of last year, wasn't it? Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So how much do you think we've went up this year so far on average price point?
Oh, I think that the average single family home is
Yeah.
probably 40,000.
Okay. So percentage wise?
Percentage, it'd be, roughly 8 to 10,
Okay.
depending on the neighborhoods.
I was trying for him to admit I might have been right about one thing because I forecasted 10% growth this year. So I just wanted, it's very hard for me to be wrong. So
Well, you're very humble, Greg. Big day for everybody here. Well, you were like, I don't see that it's slowing down either. And I think that we still will see property values continue to increase, maybe not in the presentation of offers side of things as much, but, just to give you an example, last one that I listed is that we tried an extra $20,000 over. We didn't do the presentation. We had an offer in 4 hours.
Right.
Right. And there was no negotiations. They give us an exact possession day. We basically eliminated 3 or 4 days of showings and still got, I think, of what is a great value. Right. But, in the next couple of weeks is that we're going to see everybody back for school. The market's going to heat up more. We're going to see more listings coming to the market. It doesn't mean that inventory levels are going to rise. I think that they're going to stay pretty close to where they are right now. But the good houses, they don't last long.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we just listed 2 this morning, and I mean, there's multiple showings on each one of them. I think one's got 8 and one's got 5. And I mean, we're sitting at 11 a.m.
Right.
Right. So.
And you listed that, what, 7 o'clock this morning?
It might have been a little bit later, 7:30, 8 o'clock, but
It's
yeah.
okay, still well before the business hours.
Yeah, before the business hours. And but we didn't do presentation. We decided to pivot away from that. Rather than underpricing a property and then hoping for that price, we just thought, you know what, what's the best comp that we have? Let's price it at that and then see what happens.
Well, and the problem is if you don't get that price right off, like if you don't get multiple offers in a presentation, then you're in kind of a tough spot where your property's listed 50,000 under market value, and then you're saying, okay, what do we do next, right? So then you've already taken it, into the market and got your best exposure for the first week.
For sure. And I mean, I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of realtors just because, I mean, even though we talk to each other all the time and try to figure out what it is, we're also filling out the market because we've got a lot of great relationships with a lot of other realtors in the industry. So we're like, what are you experiencing? Like, what's your thoughts on this, right? And it's overall, I think it's the same feedback a little bit. It's like there's a lot of people that have missed out and didn't get that multiple offer when it first came onto the market. And now they're like, okay, so we brought it back to the market $20,000 higher. Sometimes it's working, sometimes it's not.
Right.
And then just feeling that out, right? So
your first impression is the best, and coming in at the right price makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah, it does. Yeah, makes a big difference. And just prepping those properties, I think that's just as much, is just as important as it ever has been, but probably even more important now. So even though the price point has got to where it's at, a lot of people think, oh, well, the market's hot, I can just list my property the way it is. Unfortunately, it goes, buyers want to buy, and buyers want to buy something that's ready to move into, and so sellers have to actually do that work.
Yeah, and I think also from the mortgage perspective on things is that most people, if they're buying a $500,000 house, don't have $150,000 to go do updates or $100,000 extra that they're going to put on. So being able to include that all in your mortgage, not have to pay for it out of your pocket, and then try to do it as put it on your mortgage, that's difficult for a lot of people. So I think that's also why the time, the energy, and then also the financing beside of it makes a big difference for most buyers.
For sure. So as we're going into the fall, so historically, I mean, I thought it would be a little bit busier this summer, but historically for 20 years, we've seen July and August really slow down. What do you think is going to happen in the fall here?
Well, cyclically is that we follow the school year quite close for the real estate market. So, I'm already noticing that people are starting to talk about what they're doing when they're coming back from holidays, getting the kids ready for school. I think that we're going to have a really strong strong fall,
Right.
really. It also depends on what our weather's like. Plays a factor if we get snow really quick and that kind of thing. But for the next 3 months, is it till mid-November?
Don't say snow. Caroline's listening. We'd like some warmer weather going
Well,
into the fall.
I was saying that we want the warmer weather,
Oh,
but
okay,
like,
yeah.
let's be realistic, is that we live in Saskatchewan. It's going to happen. Yeah, so all in all, it's going to be really busy. I think that interest rates are holding, is that we're not going to see big increases in that. I think people that are active, they're going to be purchasing out there.
Right.
Yeah. Do you think I'm wrong on that, Greg, or do you have any more insight of?
No, I think my brother's right. So this is the first time I'll probably ever say it. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, you give good insight there, man. I think you're bang on. Like it felt like everybody's taking a break because everything got a little bit crazy and they got a little bit frustrated. But at the same time, somebody that's got mobility issues can't wait out the market. Somebody that their family's outgrown their house, they still need to move. And so it makes it a little bit easier when the kids are back in school and things get a little bit more normal.
Yep.
And when people aren't at the lake all
Yep.
summer, right? So
Routine goes a long way in our market.
it makes a big difference, right? Because then people can drop everything to do it. But if you're out of town, it doesn't work that way. And virtual showings, I mean, they happen more than we've ever had.
Yeah.
I mean, Clint hooked us up with the Meta sunglasses. The Ray-Ban sunglasses, and those have been awesome to be able to do virtual showings and so forth on it, right?
For sure.
It makes a big difference on being able to use those because it gives somebody a different view of that property. It's almost a real-time view, so it's made a big difference on that. But I'd have to say people still would rather do it in person, right?
Of course.
If they can. So, but yeah, that'll be coming back into it. And it goes back to inventory numbers. And our inventory numbers, it's interesting. They haven't, I mean, we got up to 690, I think, at one point, but now they're right back down to around that 550. I mean, last night they're 555, and I think you said 649 today. So it's like they fluctuate, but I think a lot of people, they'll see a lot more listings coming on the market in probably early September.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
So if you're a buyer, get ready, get pre-qualified, figure out your scenario, and be ready to drop everything to go see it, because it is one of those things that you might not even have that week to go be able to see it because they're not doing presentation.
Yeah.
It's can you get in there before everybody else does and put in a reasonable offer.
Yeah, this market doesn't wait for anybody, and also is it the preparation for people's houses? They need to be looking at that if they are actively looking. Is that they need their houses ready to go?
Yeah.
For
once
the
they
sale.
they find a property, then their
Yeah.
house is then ready, and we can get that listed immediately.
For sure, it just eliminates a lot of I guess uncertainty when you have two properties that you're technically owning at that point.
Right.
Right.
What do you think if there's one thing that you would focus on telling either a buyer or seller right now that's the most important thing for the market, what would that number one thing be?
Well, you have to be punctual. There's no waiting around. It's like if the first one's in, you usually get the homes kind of thing. Understanding your budget. There's a couple,
Right.
I guess. And the sellers is that, you have to put yourself in the buyer's shoes and be able to have something where even if you're not doing a full update, it's something that they can move in for that time period and they can see themselves living in that spot, and then maybe they'll chip away at some updates or renovations over the years. But people need to be able to move in that day.
It's interesting, that perspective of seeing the way the other person thinks about it, the seller to the buyer and buyer to seller. I mean, a lot of times people go in, see a property they absolutely love and want to put in a lower offer. And I say to them, and they're like, well, that's where I find value. And I was like, okay, so if you were the seller and a buyer writes a low offer on your house the first day, what are you going to say? And they're like, I'm going to say no. I was like, okay. So there's no point in putting that offer in. Maybe wait a couple days, and because other than that, you're just going to increase the chances that realtor will use that low offer to get them a better deal with other showings that are on the market.
Well, just like you, is that you get for your first offer and you phone all the other agents that have seen the property and say, we have an offer in play. It's
Yeah.
open till this time. Let me know if you're interested. So
Yeah.
is it, writing a low offer in this market does not help you.
No.
It's probably going to turn the seller off and them wanting to go to another offer.
For sure.
Yeah.
So thanks for viewing our episode. If you like what we're putting out there, follow us on Bamford Co on YouTube, and click subscribe, like it. And if there's anything that you want us to, I guess, touch base on, or anybody that you'd like us to bring on to the podcast to get value from and just interview, let us know, because we want to be able to add value to you, to the community, and do something that works for everybody.
Agreed. Thanks, Greg.